These are the Infused Foam Interrogate Training Gloves 2.0 from Title Boxing. It's a long name, but it also does a lot. Let me just start off by saying I really like these gloves for what they are. And what is a training glove? A training glove is a multi purpose glove. You can use it for mitts, heavy bag, technical training, and even sparring. A training glove is sort of like three gloves in one, jack of all trades, not specialized for any one. Something else I like about these gloves is that the sizes range from 12 ounces to 20 ounces. So, despite this not being specialized for sparring, would I prefer a heavyweight to punch me with 20-ounce Interrogate training gloves over 14 or 16-ounce sparring gloves? Yes. Having more size ranges just adds more safety to sparring. How does it make sense that a 140 pounder wears 16-ounce gloves and so does a 240 pounder? We have different weight divisions for a reason, and that logic should apply to gloves as well. The Interrogate training gloves come in four different colorways: red and black, silver and black, blue and black, and like these, gold and black. Now, these gloves are 2 years old and are 20 ounces. They currently retail for $69.99 on Amazon, and I think they punch above their weight, especially since finding gloves over 16 ounces is rare, and finding them at this quality is also rare. So that factors into it. Let's first start with the exterior. The website doesn't list anything about what the shell is made of because it focuses so much on their proprietary technology. But knowing these gloves are 2 years old and looking at them, and especially feeling them, it feels soft and smooth, almost wet. A lot of synthetics or cheap leather feels rigid and dry, or slick and rigid, but still dry, kind of like how plastic can feel. But these gloves don't feel like that. They also lasted really well. So to me, they feel like microfiber, which is the highest end of synthetic and often outperforms standard leather. The palm looks different, but still feels like microfiber. If you look closely, it has an embossed reinforcement layer. That's meant to make the palm sturdier because that's where a lot of the flexing happens. And that's where a lot of the wear and tear happens. So this makes sense. While we're on the palm, it uses a proprietary mesh palm, which they call AeroVent. And it doesn't cover the entire palm like some mesh gloves. It's placed strategically. The main difference is this is a more durable, breathable mesh and it's double ply. It's also made of nylon, not polyester. I can see my fingers through the mesh. So as you can see after 2 years, the difference is it doesn't fuzz or start to come apart. And it also doesn't retain odor like other mesh palms. The glove also has air holes in the thumb, which enhances the airflow rather than just relying on the mesh. Now, one area which I think they could have improved on is the thumb lock. They used a nylon cord, which is effective, and many people don't care what they use here. Lots of people even cut it off to form a better fist, but I thought I should still mention it. You'll also notice the palm split isn't at the actual palm, but off to the side. What this allows is for them to fully pad the palm and keep it together rather than leave the palm open and use elastic to keep the palm together. Or with some gloves, they don't even do that, and the palm never fully closes. So they solve that here. The grip bar is also low profile. There's also a bit of padding at the fingertip compartment. So what that affords is a much tighter fist where your fingers and palm connects. The wrist strap starts at the split rather than the cuff. The reason being is to allow for a really tight closure around your wrist. The wrist cuff is not stiff and neither is the palm. So it prioritizes snugness and fist formation and versatility over palm stiffness. Some boxers want that type of flexibility so they can have different offensive and defensive options. But for beginners, there's a risk of their wrist collapsing when they're punching hard. So wrap your wrists well. 2 years and the stitching is still flawless. There's no pebbling on the foam. The hook and loop is still sticky. Now let's get to the best part about these gloves, the foam. It's IMF, which I normally don't like, but these are different. First of all, it's much thicker than standard IMF, so it has more knuckle protection. It's also made of a hybrid material, which is why they call it infused. And that allows them to make this molded foam open cell. What does that mean? It means air can pass through it, allowing it to compress and give rather than just crumble and fall apart over time. But it's still dense, so it doesn't bottom out and feel like bare knuckle gloves. It feels like layered foam, but since it's one piece, it's theoretically more durable. In fact, it feels softer than some layered foam. The liner they use isn't slippery or slick. It's a knit fabric. Why did they do this? Because they prioritized hand comfort. Slick liners are sometimes uncomfortable on your skin or fingers, especially as you sweat. It can even cause skin irritation and abrasion. Your hand wrap can also move around in it. This glove assumes you'll be wearing it for a long time, so it's designed for that. And this pairs well with their ventilation system. But all of that still means you have to be good about wiping the interior and also the mesh and letting it air dry for longer. If someone wanted an all around glove, would I recommend these? Yes, especially if they wanted more size options. Could you use these for Muay Thai? Yes, especially since the wrist and palm are flexible and padded, and the back of the gloves are still hard. I'll add a link to these gloves and what I use to take care of my gloves in the description below. With that said, if you like my educational content, I'd really appreciate it if you could like, share, and most of all, subscribe.